What's up, guys? Scheduling woes. This seems to be an age-old problem in tennis. Me, Purav Raja. This is Somdev Devarman. We're the tennis geeks here to break it down for you a little bit more. Somdev, scheduling. What's
Yeah.
the problem?
I mean, in this video, let's talk about, when did it start? How long has this problem been going on? The scheduling, finishing matches late. That's the big problem over here. Why does it happen? Why do tennis players dislike it so much? It must affect them. We're going to get into why. Who does it help? Why do these tournaments actually schedule so late? And why does it affect them? And what is the solution? That's what we're really going to get into. And the first thing, I think, the reason why we're talking about it now, it is a trending topic because of that Andy Murray tweet. Now, I will tell you exactly what Andy Murray said. The tennis scheduling situation is a total mess. It looks so amateurish, having matches go on at 2, 3, 4 a.m. Sort it out. Now, I couldn't say it in the typical Andy Murray monotone or the Scottish accent, but I mean, we get it. And Andy Murray has been, he's had to face that whole issue. I mean, we all remember that match against Kokkinakis that finished well after 4 a.m.
Yeah.
This year at the US Open, Chinwin Zheng, Donna Vekic finished at 2:15 a.m. Sasha Zverev and Echeverry finished at 2:35 a.m. Couple years ago, Alcaraz and Sinner finished 2:50 a.m., almost 3 a.m. So let's get into why the tennis players hate it so much.
I think the tennis players really, we have to talk about the fact that this doesn't help their recovery. This is a huge problem. This doesn't help their injury problems. This doesn't help the fact that they don't know what time they're going to play, how they're going to play, when they're going to play, when they're going to play the next day. And we know a Grand Slam is a 2-day event, but we see it in events like Acapulco. We see it in events that are 1 week long as well. In Grand Slam level, of course, it's best of 5 sets, a lot more. And you've obviously experienced this a lot more, Som. But for me to just see finishes that late, why is that such a big problem, especially for a singles player on a show court?
Well, let's begin with what happens right after a match. So let's say we finish a match at 2:35, 3 a.m. Let's say 3 a.m. because that's happened with Medvedev again at the Aussie. Now, what happens after a match? You walk out. There's either a guy in a WADA drug test guy waiting for you. Let's say you're lucky and that doesn't happen. If that happens, that's an extra 45 minutes. Because you got to, be around a guy who's going to watch you pee into a cup. It's not fun. It's not. No one likes that, right? So let's say that doesn't happen. Now you finish the match. You go into the locker room. Shower, stretch, massage, ice tub, press conference. I mean, these are the bare minimum that all of these players have to do.
Yeah.
So a 3 a.m. match means you leave the site no earlier than 5:36. And I'm being generous over here. 5:36 a.m.
That's crazy.
No chance you're in bed by 7 a.m. The next day is totally ruined. You're supposed to practice at noon. That's not going to happen.
Cancel that practice.
Cancel that practice. Go on site late. What do you know? The next day you're playing at noon.
Yeah, exactly. So this problem is a huge issue for the total psychology of a player, for the team, for everybody. I mean, this seems to be like a huge health issue. It seems to be a health hazard to be playing matches that late in the night when you're playing one of the most physical sports in the world. And these guys are putting their bodies through, immense cardiovascular work beyond midnight. And we're not used to that. I mean, I've done that maybe a handful of times in my life and never with choice. And this is not good for you when they're doing it. I mean, how often does Novak do this?
All right. So now let's all agree on the fact that tennis players hate finishing matches at, post midnight.
Yeah.
Post 2 a.m., post 3 a.m. Midnight is still, in my opinion, it's okay. It's doable. But once it gets to 3, 4 a.m., it's horrendous. I mean, I'll tell you my experiences. I've finished matches at, 3 a.m. in DC, in Miami. Is it for the fans? I don't believe it is. There's a few, not every tennis fan is there at every tennis match.
No, but I think it's more for the party fans. Like, I'll give you the example of, a recent instance is that at the US Open, there was $10 million spent on honeydew cocktails.
Grey Goose Honeydew.
Honeydew.
What a great name.
$10 million
Great name.
is the revenue the US Open made from Grey Goose honeydews. Now, it leads me to believe, I'm no party animal, but it leads me to believe, but it leads me to believe that, if they're making $10 million, the longer the night goes on, the more honeydews is consumed. And that's just the way that the night goes. I mean, if they're staying late into the night, they want to party. They want to have a good time. It's New York. They're in Flushing Meadows. They're going to have a good time. I'm sure the intake of Grey Goose honeydews goes higher.
Exponentially increases. There's a direct
past
correlation.
Midnight.
There's
Past
a direct
midnight.
correlation.
Yeah.
I mean, and this leads us to the age-old saying, right? What's the problem? Because money is the answer.
Exactly.
And when
Sponsors, I mean, sponsors, they get more airtime. For sure, they get more air. Whether that's the right airtime, that's a separate discussion. But they do get many
but
more.
it's the right item somewhere in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
But they do get 75 different, breaks because the match goes on for 9 hours now. All of a sudden, there's a 3-hour women's match. There's a break in between. There's a 20-minute, and there's a 5-hour men's match. Your ad is now running for 9 hours for.
So again, who's it bad for? The players, a few of the fans, and a few of the fans love it. Let's be honest.
And what's it good for?
Who's
Money.
it good for? It's good for the tournament because they have more viewership, they have more sponsors. The sponsors have a better time in the box because there's more entertainment. It's later at night. Merchandise. They sell more merchandise apart from the Grey Goose Honeydews. They sell more tickets. Remember, Roland Garros never had a night session. Now they have a night session. Only men's matches. That's ever been there. That's more revenue. That's more ticket sales. That's more revenue on merchandise and food and beverages and everything else. Better for the TV viewing audience as well because around the world it's 24 hours. There's tennis playing all the time. So it's better for.
And they can't put one match in the night. The reason we say they can't put one match in the night is because if it's a women's match and it's best of 3 sets and it lasts 40 minutes, you've all of a sudden paid thousands of dollars for this 40-minute action that's gone 6-1, 6-1, and then the match is over. So they have to put 2 matches. There could be a men's match as well that goes, a player retires after 6-1 in the first
And it's
set.
happened.
And there's
It's
a
happened.
contingency that, there is another match to watch. It is a better sell of a ticket.
So we are entertainers, the players. Absolutely hate it. Nobody likes finishing at 4 a.m. For solutions, Aussie has had this problem. The French have had this problem. The US has this problem. The only one that has not is Wimbledon, and they continue to keep it classy. And speaking of Wimbledon, nice T-shirt over there, Purav. You're a proper tennis geek. You're an absolute proper tennis geek with a subtle Wimbledon logo. But speaking of subtlety, Wimbledon, they've got this right. They've also changed. They've also gone on late at night. But why have they got it right? And what can the other tournaments learn?
Well, one of the things is that they start at 11 a.m. And that's one of the things that they do. Even their show court matches run through the day. There's no separate session for the night.
But they have a hard stop.
They have a hard stop at 11, and that's a curfew that they've put in at 11. Since they built the roof, they've put a curfew in. Now there's separate factors to consider, and the reason why French and Australia don't consider because it's on grass and there's dew on the grass, so it makes it wet. So that's another thing that we got to consider, that the grass does get much wetter, and that's just the reason that you can't play that late into the night most of the time.
And it needs time to recover the next day.
And it needs time to recover. So we're really, the Wimbledon is lucky in that sense, where they do have a curfew in place and they have these things. But to have 2 sessions is not necessarily bad, is it?
It's not bad, but can we all agree that no match should go on past, let's say, 10:30?
Yeah, you should never go on past
And can we have a
10:30.
hard stop at like 1 a.m.?
And then what? They come back the next day?
I mean, would you rather, as a player, play matches at 10 a.m. or 3 a.m.?
10 a.m. for sure. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, if there's no perfect system over here, and there's no system that can make everybody happy. But I feel like some sort of compromise needs to be shown because the health of the players, and let's not forget, these are some of the biggest matches of these players' lives. Like, yeah, maybe not for Andy Murray, maybe not for Novak Djokovic, but if I was playing there, it would be the biggest match of my life. So majority of the players is the biggest match of their life. And to then finish at 4 a.m., win, come back the next day and have zero chance against somebody where you need all of that energy. So I feel like the solution needs to be working towards a hard stop at certain point and no matches go on past, let's say, 10:30.
I think we can all agree on that. We've heard it from us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Like, subscribe, share, and we'd love to hear your comments in this section. What is the real problem with scheduling? Join us again on Tennis Geeks. Thanks for now.